Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what has to be one of the most ambitious, maybe even craziest engineering projects on the entire planet. We're talking about a plan to completely reshape a nation's relationship with its most vital resource, water. Okay, let's kick things off with a fact that just sounds impossible, right? Saudi Arabia, this huge kingdom, all desert, it's the largest country in the world without a single permanent natural river. I mean, not one, zero. And yet, faced with that reality, what are they doing? They're building an artificial river. And not just any river. We're talking about a network so colossal, so huge, that its total length will be nearly double that of the Nile, the longest natural river on Earth. It's a project that basically tells geography to take a hike. So yeah, that brings us to the big, obvious question, doesn't it? If your country is literally defined by its lack of water, how in the world do you fill a river? I mean, where is all this water even coming from? All right, to really get our heads around this thing, we need to rewind a bit. We've got to understand the deep, deep water crisis that was decades in the making. A crisis that made such an extreme solution seem not just possible, but, well, totally necessary. There's this great analogy that just nails the paradox at the heart of Saudi Arabia for decades. It's like having this incredible golden palace, but you've only got 2 sips of water to drink, all the wealth in the world from oil, but an extreme shortage of the one thing you actually need to live. So for a really long time, the country got by, they survived, by tapping into something called fossil water. Think of it like this. It's ancient water trapped deep underground in aquifers for millions of years. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It's a non-renewable resource. Once you use it, it's gone. Forever. And this is where a well-intentioned idea just went completely off the rails. Back in the 70s, the government wanted food independence, right? So they started subsidizing wheat farming in the middle of the desert. And hey, it worked, but the cost was absolutely catastrophic. By 2003, farming was gulping down 85% of the nation's water, just draining those ancient aquifers dry, until, finally, they had to pull the plug on the whole program. Experts were screaming about this. They said, look, this isn't sustainable. It's like using a battery that you can never, ever recharge. It's a one-time withdrawal from a geological savings account. And then NASA confirmed everyone's worst fears. Their data showed that between 2002 and 2016, Saudi Arabia was losing something like 2 trillion liters of this fossil water every single year. That's just mind-blowing. And it wasn't just about the supply. The demand side of the equation was also a huge problem. At the height of the crisis, the average person in Saudi Arabia was using over 300 liters of water a day. To put that in perspective, that's more than double the global average. You just can't keep that up. So, what do? Your only natural water source is pretty much gone. Well, the kingdom turned to a solution that was, let's be honest, just as audacious and out there as the problem was severe. Now, when we say artificial river, don't just picture a single pipe. No. This is a massive, underground network of pipes stretching 12,000 kilometers. Again, that's nearly twice the length of the Nile. And it's all built underground for a very simple reason, to stop the water from just evaporating away in that scorching desert heat. The sheer scale of this is it's hard to wrap your head around. The main channels are 11 meters wide and 4 meters deep. They're designed to move over 9 billion liters of fresh water every single day. And look, this isn't just about giving people something to drink. This is a foundational piece of their whole plan to move their economy beyond oil, to bring back that dream of making the desert green. Okay, but this all loops back to our big question, right? How do you fill these monster pipes? If the groundwater's gone, well, the answer is in the seas that surround the country. You literally have to make fresh water out of salt water. So the first method they use is just a brute force marvel of industrial engineering. I want you to picture this. Hundreds of steel tanks, each one the size of a football field. You basically boil seawater in them, then move it to chambers with lower pressure, which makes it instantly flash into steam. Then you just collect that steam, cool it down, and boom, pure, fresh water. The salt gets left behind. All right, method number 2 is a bit more modern, a bit more elegant. It's called reverse osmosis. And instead of using a ton of heat, this process uses immense pressure. It forces seawater through a really special kind of filter, a super, super thin polymer membrane. And the engineering behind this is just wow. The tiny little holes in this membrane, the pores, they're so microscopic that they can filter out over 99% of all the salts, minerals, you name it. They're so small, as one source put it, that not even a virus can pass through. What you get on the other side is just perfectly pure water. But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? This technological miracle comes with a massive environmental cost. Because when you create billions of liters of fresh water every day, you're left with a truly staggering amount of toxic waste. Get ready for this number. Every single day, the desalination process churns out 329,000 tons of waste. I mean, what does that even mean? Let's try to picture it. A blue whale, the biggest animal on the planet, weighs about 200 tons. So we're talking about the weight of over 1,600 blue whales in waste every single day. It's insane. And this isn't just salty water. No, this is a hyper-concentrated toxic salt brine. And when they pump it back into the sea, it jacks up the water temperature and the salinity, creating these dead zones that just devastate fragile marine ecosystems like coral reefs. It's a really stark reminder that even the cleverest solutions have hidden costs. Now, to their credit, they are trying to fix this. Engineers are working on solutions. One idea is to use these deep-sea diffusers to kind of spread the brine out over a much wider area, hopefully diluting its impact. But another idea, which is way more exciting, is something called brine mining. The idea is to actually extract valuable stuff like magnesium and potassium right out of the waste. You'd be turning a liability into an asset, pushing towards a more circular economy. Pretty cool, right? You know, this whole project is just it's pushing the absolute limits of what we thought was possible with engineering. But it also forces us to stop and ask some really big questions about the price of, well, bending nature to our will. And a huge, huge part of that price is energy. You see, the country's terrain is really mountainous, so getting all this water where it needs to go means pumping it uphill against gravity. And just the pumping stations, that's it, just the pumps, they consume a jaw-dropping 9% of the entire nation's electricity supply. 9%. And here's the crazy irony in all this. This massive project has actually turned Saudi Arabia into a world leader in water technology. So much so that in 2027, the country with no natural rivers is going to host the World Water Forum. They'll be showcasing their solutions to the entire planet. So, at the end of the day, this artificial river is more than just a bunch of pipes. It's a powerful symbol. But what is it a symbol of? Is it a blueprint for the future? A sign that human ingenuity can solve any resource crisis? Or is it a cautionary tale? A warning about the immense environmental and energy costs of trying to engineer our way out of problems that we created in the first place? That's the big question this whole incredible project leaves us wrestling with.